Disrupting harm has really brought out very key findings for Uganda. I would say that this is the first study we've had in Uganda that actually clearly brings out aspects on online child sexual exploitation. So it's a great reference guide for us. It gives us an actual understanding of the trends, of how big this problem is with young people in Uganda. It helps us understand why children are not reporting cases, what gaps we have as service providers, but it also helps us understand what our role should be and where we should focus our interventions, where we should focus our policy advocacy programs, and where we should focus our research for future aspects on children who are affected by online child sexual exploitation. One of the most biggest impact we've had with the DH project is that it has provided us with the first evidence we need as a country to understand the problem that we have, but also to understand its magnitude and how it's manifested. And I don't think there's any other study in Uganda that brings out online child sexual exploitation like DH brings it out. I know there are small studies that were done, but they are not as globally recognized as the DH project. So it gives us more value as a country to understand the problem, but also to start speaking about it. I know some of the findings, like for example, children are saying they do not report cases, they report to their friends. That means there are issues of trust amongst the service providers with children. There's a gap that we need to close with children, service providers and their friends. Children are telling us it's their friends that are the older youth that are leading them to online child sexual exploitation. So this means as a country we need to focus our programs on prevention to be able to address issues of online child sexual exploitation, and prevention should come as early as 12 or before they get to the age of 12 years, because the disrupting harm is actually showing us that children are being affected from the age of 12 to 17 years. So if we do not do any prevention work before they get to 12 years, that means their peers are going to be the most influential factors in their lives. That means that they will follow what their peers tell them, and they'll be more affected and get into a problem that they will not know how to handle because they do not trust the adults to talk to these problems, to talk with adults about these issues. So I think as a country, it tells us we need to do a lot of prevention education and at an early stage, but also for those that are victims, as a country, it is telling us we need to put in place rehabilitation facilities, recovery facilities. We need to have action plans as a country that can address the issue of online child sexual exploitation. We need to commit our governments to be able to do something about online child sexual exploitation, given that we are going into a digital world, but also we need to ensure that we work on the recommendations of the DH project, which are really, really key in highlighting aspects to do with response, aspects to do with prevention, how are we going to prosecute, investigate cases of online child sexual exploitation, but also if as a country we are ready to address online child sexual exploitation. Do we have the manpower? Do we have the resources? Do we have the right mindset as ourselves? But have we also educated ourselves on online child sexual exploitation, or the kids are even smarter than us, given their advancement with using technology? I think as a country, one of the biggest challenges we've faced is commitment of resources to support the implementation of some of these recommendations. I know as a country we've put in place a law. We now have laws that are helping with online child sexual exploitation, like the Computer Misuse Act that we are currently using. We do have a national action plan that is still in draft form, not yet completed, not yet finalized. That means we need resources to finalize that draft plan. And of course, with that plan, it will give us the onus to have the working group be more vigilant in acting or implementing some of the recommendations or some of the actions we are setting ourselves to do as a country. And some of these actions, like the child helpline, which will improve reporting, we need manpower, we need referral pathways, and all these things need resources, which at the moment we do not have. I know most of the support and interventions that currently Uganda is doing are being funded by UNICEF, And when UNICEF ends or when UNICEF runs out of resources, that means the government will not be able to sustain some of these interventions, and then other interventions are being supported by civil society. So we need to see how government can, own up to this national action plan, allocate resources to it, and be able to implement it without, just in case these other supports from international agencies and CSOs runs out, they're able to own this process, but also involving communities in understanding the findings of the DH project. I think that's one of the other challenges that we've not been able to achieve, because it's a big report and we need to help the children and the communities also understand it better. So, and of course, for us to do that, we need resources, which we currently do not have, but we are doing small efforts to try and get the messages out there. But I think if for us to be more successful, we need to commit resources to that. I think one of the key actions is happening right now. I'm happy that now we are having an Eastern and Southern regional fora and network that is concerned about disrupting harm and concerned about issues of online child sexual exploitation in the region. This regional focus, this regional commitment, seeing all the actors in one room, that has happened in the last 4 days since we started this conference with ECPAT International. I think this has given us a forum where we can start to look at those findings, understand them, and ask ourselves what we can do as a regional forum in the Eastern and Southern region in Africa. But I'm also looking at locally as countries. I think the Disrupting Harm project has helped us understand better the situation, but also some of the recommendations that are country specific will help us know how we can move forward with what next steps we should take. And I'm also looking at some of the recommendations that have to do with having child-friendly versions of the DH project coming through, having small videos, small plays, small things that can catch the eye of the children to also understand and be part of the prevention approach, but also the response approach in terms of encouraging each other to report cases of online child sexual exploitation.